Hey, it's your old buddy Zombie Tactics coming back at you today. Back at it after a hiatus, I guess you could say, of a few weeks. I've been moving. You can see there's different backgrounds here, same old lawn furniture, and Emma and some other animals will show up here, I'm sure, sooner or later. Hey, this is an important video today, and it's an installment in the Food Prep for the Lazy, Late, and Cheap series. To warn you right off the bat a couple of things. It isn't the video that I promised you next in the Lazy, Late, and Cheap series, which I think was on water filtration. That's going to have to be the next one because this one is just too important. That's item number one in terms of housekeeping. Item number two is this is probably going to be, if not the most important, one of the most important videos that I'll ever make. Certainly in this series, the Food Prep for the Lazy, Late, and Cheap series. And let me give you a little background about what I'm going to be talking about. To give you a little context or perspective. You know, to do a video on YouTube, you don't need anything except an inexpensive camera and access to the internet. Heck, you can even do a video on an iPhone 4, edit it all in the camera, and upload it directly to YouTube from that. The barrier to entry is almost nothing. And unfortunately, that's brought about a situation where almost anybody who can present well can appear to be an expert to the viewing audience, to you on the other side. Now, what am I talking about here? Well, in some cases, people will do silly things. They'll talk about, well, my choice of a handgun for, you know, end of the world as we know it, zombies or whatever, and they'll choose some crazy handgun that's in a weird caliber where you kind of say, all right, well, you know, good luck with getting that caliber. I mean, good luck finding it now, much less if the world's gone to hell. But I don't really worry about that. It's not my job in life to go and correct everybody about every little thing and make sure everybody's dotting their I's and crossing their T's. I've got my little pet peeves like anybody else, but that isn't one of them. But you know, people do that. There's guys that are 21 years old, they've got one handgun, they've been shooting for 6 months, and they're an instant expert on everything, right? Not worried about those guys. You know, have fun. It's YouTube. It does concern me, though, when people do things that are actually going to have a good chance of risking people's lives. And so that's why this is a part of the Food Prep for the Lazy, Late, and Cheap series. When I started making this series, I made some food recommendations to you early on, and I showed you some canned foods that were shelf-stable, important concept. And one of the things that I've seen is a number of people have misquoted me. Frankly, I participate in other forums on the internet by a name other than Zombie Tactics, and people have misquoted me to me, telling me that I'm wrong because I said something not knowing that I'm Zombie Tactics somewhere else. And I have to politely tell them, no, go check out what that guy said. He didn't say that. He said exactly what I am saying. You know, not really giving away the, not really giving away who I am on the other end of the conversation. And one of these areas is people have said, hey, according to Zombie Tactics, all canned foods are shelf stable and they'll keep forever. Wrong. It's just wrong. Okay? There are shelf-stable foods and there are foods that are not so shelf-stable. One of the things that concerns me about this is I've seen several people who present well on camera and they do a video that's something like this. Hey, prepping's important. You really ought to prep in case something bad happens. You know, like Katrina or a hurricane or a tornado or an earthquake or something. You should prep because it's really important, man. So I started prepping, and I went to Target today, and I got a good deal on this canned food. Look at all this canned food I got. I'm prepping. I'm cool. And they present better than that. They don't sound so stupid, and that's part of the problem. They don't sound stupid. And you look on what they have on the shelf, and half of what they have, half of what they bought, is stuff that's not shelf-stable. And on top of it not being shelf-stable, it doesn't keep very long. It's maybe got about a year on the shelf before there's a potential problem. Now, you're kind of going, well, no, wait a minute. Canned food, I know sometimes they've done tests in the military. They opened up some canned vegetables like 47 years later. It was still safe to eat, blah, 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 blah. What are you talking about? Well, not all canned food is created equally. Okay? You have things that will keep a long time, and the best ones are the ones that are shelf-stable, some of the products I've shown you. But even in the case where they're not shelf-stable, things that keep a long time, maybe 3, 4, 5 years, that's a safe bet. You know, you could find your way either keeping that or eat it 4 years from now, and you'll be fine. But I see people putting things on their shelf like one guy made a video that said, I went out and I was afraid that after, a disaster, I wouldn't be able to get, I really like cling peaches in heavy syrup, and I really like this mixed fruit cocktail in light syrup, and I was afraid I wouldn't be able to get it, so I got some of that. And besides, it's really good for you because it's got vitamins in it, and you need vitamins. Okay? So, I'm a prepper, I'm cool. Again, present better than that, and that's part of the problem. Well, let me tell you a little bit about this. When they can food, they do in fact heat it to a high enough temperature that'll kill off almost anything bacteriological and viral. I said almost. And then they can it. When they can it, the lid goes down on top of that, and that pretty much squashes enough stuff out the side because they want to have it chock full so that there's no air, or almost no air in there, and that does a pretty good job of making sure that no bacteria will grow, no viruses will breed or stay dormant or anything like that. And you kind of think, hey, we got it handled then, right? No, there's a nasty little other guy that's lurking around ready to do you harm, and that guy's called botulism. The thing about botulism is it's an anaerobic organism. It's anaerobic, meaning it doesn't need oxygen, it doesn't need air. It can thrive in an environment that doesn't have any oxygen, and all it needs is a fair amount of liquid and some sugar, and for the pH to be within a certain range for it to survive, which incidentally is just about the ideal range that canned foods like mixed fruit in heavy syrup or light syrup, or sliced peaches in heavy syrup or light syrup fall into. They don't have enough acid content in them to raise the pH level to get rid of botulism, and they don't have enough. They don't have enough acid. They don't have enough salt. They don't have something else that would ordinarily prevent botulism from growing in that environment. And you can open a can. Looks good, smells good. The can's not bowed. It tastes fine. You eat it. 3 days later, you, your family, your wife, your spouse or significant other, your children, everyone who's eaten from that is dead, because what it does is it paralyzes your nerves, it paralyzes your muscles. That's the same stuff that they use in Botox injections that cause you to get rid of these wrinkles because it makes the muscles let loose or whatever. But you eat that in sufficient quantities and you're in a world of hurt, and there really isn't anything you can do about it once it gets to a certain point. There certainly isn't going to be anything you can do about it if you're in a situation where it's an emergency and you don't have access to ready medical care, or you can't spot the signs of it. Well, botulism hangs around a long time and it doesn't cook out really well. Those cans of things like clinged peaches, diced pear, all that stuff that's in heavy syrup and light syrup, you need to get rid of that because it's going to kill you. And those of you who've made videos suggesting that people buy that stuff, please, please, please do a better job at researching things. Like I said, anybody on YouTube can make a video and say anything they want. I'm no different. I may sound like I really know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. But you don't know that. You need to research these things. A gentleman the other day wanted to submit a video response to one of my videos about water, and he thought he was so proud. He went and he thought he found a great deal on a water filter. It was one of these Nalgene style bottles that has a straw and it has some kind of a charcoal filter mechanism in it. And I had to say, man, I can't approve that video. And he goes, well, why not? It's a great deal. It's only $12, and I found them at this store, and it's a water filter, and everybody needs water filtration because water, it's the most important thing. And I said, if you read the directions on that bottle. That bottle was made for one thing and one thing only: to take ordinary tap water that's already safe and maybe take a little bit of chlorine out of it and make it taste better. That's not a water filtration bottle. These things are important because your life is on the line. And that's the reason for this video. I want you to carefully consider the videos you watch and the source that they're coming from. Me, anybody. Check it out. Make sure you read your own labels. Make sure you do your own due diligence. Hey, I really think I know what I've been talking about because I've been doing this for a couple of decades. And this is the reason why I'm giving you the advice I'm giving you, and the reason why I'm giving you the suggestions I'm giving you. But you don't know that. You don't know who I am. I'm just some guy on YouTube making videos. And maybe I come off well, maybe I come off like a dork. I don't know. But you have to take your life into your own hands and research these things too. And especially those of you who are doing videos, make sure you do your due diligence as well, and that any suggestions you're giving to people, especially about food. Get it right. Research it. Get it right, because it's important. I'll be back later on in this series, the next video in the Lazy Late and Cheap series on water filtration, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.